Oh, we are vibing, as the kids say. That's how we're doing. Just checking the audio. Sounds good to me. Someone will inevitably come in here and tell me, I can't hear you, Josh. I can't hear you. I think we're good. Best I can do is here because I can't edit the audio while it's live. I'm not as sophisticated as I probably should be when it comes to these things, but on the playback, I can hear the difference in the audio, but it's not like, you know, blank or anything. All right. What are we going to talk about today? What are we going to talk about today? Friends, lend me your ears, lend me your wallets. If you like this channel, stream, give me a like or dislike. Or just leave my channel running in the background. That's always a win. Any of that's great. Any of that's absolutely great for me. Great for us. This is about the community, right? So Bitcoin's at 60 plus for the first time in a good long while. Got a few things in mind to talk about, but I'm hoping that Chad or Rooney give me some ideas here. Hold on, I gotta pull up a new window. One sec. All right. So talk about some things, pulling back a little bit. Hit that yearly pivot, which is really what I had been watching outside of the chart pattern targets, which got hit, which is good. We got flows coming in. We got more wirehouses connecting to the ETFs, more banks connecting to the ETFs. They're feeling the FOMO. They want a little piece. They want to get their beak wet. They're like, oh, this thing isn't going to die. It isn't going to fail. It's actually insanely popular. Crazy, right? We got Merrill Lynch, Wells Fargo. Who else was talking about it? Vanguard still having fun, staying poor. They're not going to offer anything anytime soon. I'm trying to find the old thing we did on Canva. Where are you? Try to pull this up. Is this it? I think this is it. $11.16.23 was the last time we talked about this. Man, that's a throwback. This was so this is what, 0209. Happy Leap Day, by the way. What a weird thing that is. Cloud is love, cloud is life. Stream with Jack was great. Thank you. We try to keep it right, keep it tight. I like how they both were like, we're gonna hit all-time high this stream. And then immediately Coinbase goes down and the market crashes effectively. It's just it was too perfect. Absolutely perfect. If you guys want me to talk about anything specific, let me know. I'll talk about miners, I'll talk about BTC, obviously, talk about some high time frame stuff. Figured we could go on, look into Bitcoin, look at some of those metrics. It's generally a good idea to get a weekly temperature gauge on how things are going. Good times, indeed. Good times, good times, good times. So this was from November. It's always good to take a look back in the journal, just to see what happened. You know, like were your emotions and trading alignment correct at that time? Looking back on it, I think based on the 5 seconds I spent looking at this feels correct to me. I mean, I've been saying heavy BTC for weeks. Been saying ETFs are gonna run this thing really hard, and they have. What else did we talk about back then? Geopolitical stuff. I probably said something like it's a non-issue. I can't exactly remember. All right, let's just copy this and let me delete some of the, can I do this all in one swipe? What if I do this? Check this out, chat. We call this a pro gamer move. Ho, ho, ho. All right. Busting out the spicy Cheetos. I actually don't have any snacks in this house, in this apartment at the moment. We are very much a ingredient household. I kind of make everything. Popcorn is about as snacky as I get at the moment. All right, how we feeling? Sentiment check. The fear and greed index is at extreme greed. What's up, Jack? Yeah, we'll take a look at Puel. I think based on funding, you know, I don't need necessarily everyone's opinion on how they feel, but I'm guessing based on funding, we'll change this to a neutral color. Guessing based on funding, people are very much over here. yeah, greedy, euphoric. That's fair. You know, in November, we were also greedy and euphoric for a different reason. I think that was when Solana was popping off. Pretty much everything was doing really well. Solana, Link. ETFs came, things reconsolidated. And now it's all been about, you know, BTC story, basically, right? Anybody who's been in BTC since November or before has gotten heavily rewarded. People sitting in alts are starting to do well a little bit, but what tends to happen is alts do best after Bitcoin does best, and then when Bitcoin inevitably pulls back, alts pull back more, and it's just like, you know, if you're timing that really well, okay, with some leverage, it works out. It works out in your favor. It's just most people can't do that, and most people can't do that consistently. Like, they will have a win with an altcoin on leverage here and there, but realistically, they don't tend to do super well in the long term because of that tendency to focus on alts over just the easy win, you know. That's just me. I know there are plenty of people who trade alts really well, and you're trading bonk at 25x and you're making millions. I get it. There's always those people too. Aave, we'll take Aave. We'll take this off the list for now. Link kind of slowed down. I mean, right now it's kind of been a Doge party. Doge is up like, what, 40%? Do we dare to add Filecoin to this list? Do we dare to dream? I do have a few alts to look at. The thing with alts, the alts that I like at the moment are not alt positions on margin. I got lucky with that Doge long. I think Jack did as well, if he's still in that. But that is not, for me, most alt plays aren't margin plays, because most alt plays for me right now are super high time frame, and you have to give those things, like Filecoin, right? You have to give this thing time. It took 2 years to consolidate. Realistically, is it going to break out in a week? Probably not. Give it a second, right? So there's a lot of pressure for this thing to go higher. Sure. But you also have to have patience. And the last thing you want to do is be correct, but then get margin called because you were on 50x leverage and Bitcoin decided to pull back and Filecoin decided to pull back 20% or something like that, right? This is just an example of a chart. Doge is the same. We'll look at all of them. Sushi is the same. I'll talk about some pullback stuff for BTC. BTC kind of has some like tweezer top stuff, inverted Adam and Eve. We're at the yearly pivot. We've hit previous targets, take profit levels, we'll call it. So it makes sense to me. Like I said, yes, Wednesday? Yes, yeah, Wednesday. It makes sense to me that we've chilled out a little bit here. It's just a natural place in my mind to chill out a little bit. Let me move this over. Legacy, I mean, DXY is flat, which is good. We still have the rising wedges everywhere for the most part. What else? NVIDIA, like, has calmed down. I don't even know what we want to put that on there. My trading has been... See, I told you somebody would come in here and say the audio is fucked up. This is the best I can do. I don't know how to adjust it. I'd have to get a different microphone and a different setup, I think. Or figure out OBS a little bit more, but this is the best as we can do on the audio loudness front. Okay. Is anybody... I don't even know if I want to ask this because I'm afraid of the answers I'm going to get. Is anybody allocated differently than this? I'm sure there are people... I hear it a lot, right? People are underallocated, or they're allocated into alts, or they're trading some 500,000 coin on CoinGecko or something. Whatever. Rates. So we can hit this for a second. We'll look at Truflation. PCE. So I guess CPI is flat/hot. PCE was flat. Housing numbers came in down. We get unemployment next week. I don't think there's a great reason for the Fed to cut yet, still. And again, if you're one of these people like, oh, the Fed, when they cut, it's over. Okay, well, they decided they're not going to cut, so we're good. You know, like, we can look at the yield curve, we can talk about all that stuff. It hasn't seemed to matter yet. Not saying that it won't. Since November, Middle East has probably gotten worse, and Ukraine, I would argue, has gotten worse. So none of that's getting any better. Not that that has mattered too much for us in the trading sense, but obviously if you live over there, it matters. What else we got? I think we still have... So yields are high and rising. We've got animal spirits, we'll call it. What else we got going on? Yeah, we've got ETF flows like crazy, which is great. We'll say large. BitX miners, Filecoin, BTC. Okay. I love BitX. I have nothing wrong with BitX. Square I like. I think there's a lot of like crypto adjacent stuff. What else? Dare we say mini alt season? I think that goes under animal spirits. I feel like Legacy has done much better than people have expected it to do. All right. I don't know what my allocation is here. My cash is probably like 1%. I don't know. It's not a lot. I do have some in yield, just as insurance, effectively, if we do go to zero. I couldn't even tell you. It's probably 95 for something like this. I don't even know, honestly. Just so it shows up on the graph. Hold on. It's gonna bother me. It's not gonna let me. 95, 5. Okay, there we go. It's at least this, probably way more skewed towards BTC still. Miners are like a steal. I watched the miner video again last night. Miners are in an odd spot. We should probably put that under other. Miners squeezed. I'll say that. They've got halving coming up. You've got share dilution. You've got fees coming down for Bitcoin. You've got just the beta effect. They're up so much so fast that people are just taking profits, right? All right, so let's start with the Bitcoin chart. So we've got a few things. We've got the tweezer top on the daily. What that means is generally when you have price getting pushed beyond the candle body, okay, you get a wick. We had a pretty big wick yesterday. Next day, today, we also have a candle that wicked higher and closed down. So this generally says bullish exhaustion, watch for a reversal, be careful, okay? None of this stuff individually is enough to like pull us back down to 40 or something, but it's telling me, hinting me that, you know, like nudging at my shirt, be careful up here, probably don't add up here, probably take some off up here, probably take profits if you're long from the previous pivot. Okay, so we're also at the yearly pivot. Like I said it the last time we were at the yearly pivot, and like I said it the last time we were at the yearly pivot, we typically don't just shoot through the yearly pivots. We typically consolidate a little bit, right? So just like I said Sunday, we're probably going to consolidate below the yearly pivot. 52.5 at that time was the breakout level. Great, all that stuff happened. Perfect. So it makes sense to me that we're slowing down up here. The daily cloud. Should I get rid of this? Sure. Let's just do this. The daily cloud has a level all the way down at 51. Now, in order to call this a TKC clamp overbought situation, what you want to see is a very wide blue-red line. Okay, the high time frame, or sorry, the high SMA and the low SMA, when those spread apart a lot, that signals overbought conditions. What we're going to see here on the Tenkin over the next couple days, the Tenkin's going to move up. Probably not that high, but let's just say, you know, it'll move up here, probably to 58 or something. The Kijun is going to stay here if we don't make higher highs. So if within the next couple weeks we are still below 62, then the probability leans towards retesting the Kijun, the yearly pivot to the downside. This is all part of the decision tree. It is not, I think this is where we're going to go. This is where we could go if this, then that, right? If we look at the last example of this that just happened, here we have TK separation. We have price well above the TK lines, and it just didn't matter, right? So in a bull market, you have buoyancy, you have people shoving bids, pushing you higher, breakouts working better, right? Overperformance generally. Something else to note for people who are like waiting to get in, this was the last trend where we never hit the Kijun until the very end, effectively. Normally I would say 51 is a great level. It still is a great level. If you can get 51 on a bid, I think that's great. I love bids at 51. But the problem with that is you kind of risk missing any potential move higher. So just like I told people at 46 or whatever it was NFA, but I would DCA something if you're completely out. I mean, you got to do something. And then you put bids at the blue line, bids at the red line, and see what happens. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it just moves too quickly. So it just depends on how aggressive you want to be. So that's the daily cloud. The last time we actually retested the Kijun on the daily, on the bull side, I mean, there is There's not really a great showing of that other than January 2021. I mean, I guess you could argue March 2021. And that was months into that cycle. Months. We did tap the blue line a bunch of times, the Tenkin. This was a very aggressive trend. 2017 was a bit different. All the cycles are going to be a little bit different. So just as some idea, pick a high time frame moving average, pick a low time frame moving average, and figure it out for whatever you want to do. But the last thing I would want to do right now up here is 500x long. Let's do it. We got this. Who's with me in chat? You know, that type of thing. Probably not too smart. Let me just move this over here. The one reason I had this Doge long. The one reason I took profits on that, it was up 150%. Okay. Funding is super high still. Funding, in fact, was so high. I'm trying to find the tweet. Funding was so high that Velo Data had to make a new color on the funding map. So we can always go higher. We can always get stupider. Okay. This is usually a sign, right? We had Coinbase go down. That's usually a sign. It's not done. The cycle's not over. It's just if I'm trying to time an alt levered position, probably now's not the greatest time for that. Probably. This is probabilities, right? This isn't like I know what's going to happen. I'm just saying I'd rather wait till people get washed out a little bit because that's inevitably what's going to happen. I'm trying not to mumble, but it's very hard for me not to mumble. So if you're in a long, just be careful because leverage is super hot, or sorry, funding is super hot, which means leverage is high and stuff happens, right? Stuff just happens. No, there's no free rides. I know a lot of people who think they're a genius, right? They caught some altcoin high leverage trade. I'm happy for you, but just be careful. That's all. Just be careful. Anyway, so it's Bitcoin on high time frames. TLDR, we're at the yearly pivot. We've got some toppy signals in the near term. We can flip to the megaphone. We've overperformed on that target, right? Even I thought this was a silly pattern with a silly target. Doesn't matter. All we're doing here is we're measuring the depth of the pattern higher. It doesn't make any sense why this works. It just does. Okay. What do you want me to say, right? Like the last one also overperformed. This was the inverted head and shoulders, right? That one overperformed by a little bit more, but we're looking good. So that hit really well. And then there was the flag, if I can find where I put that, here maybe. Yeah, so there was this flag that we hit perfectly on that target. If I was smart enough, which I'm kind of smart, but not that smart. If I was smart enough, I would have put some asks at that level when I opened the long. I just didn't, and it went there so quick that didn't get the best close, but it's fine. It is what it is. Can't complain. For me, the bigger problem is the sizing issue because I bought some on the breakout. I should have been more aggressive. I should have, this is always what people think, right? If you get this massive trade in your lap, you're like, oh, I should have had more leverage. I should have had more size. I should have blah, blah, blah. Eventually, when you tell this to yourself enough, you're like, okay, I'm going to listen to my past self, right? But the issue was on that day, I don't know if you guys remember, we just went straight up. It didn't turn back really at all. So that kind of hurt me, not adding enough, but I got a good little slice. Good little slice. So we hit those targets, those chart patterns. There's also, we'll go to coin. No, let's pick an exchange I can do something on. The low time frame stuff here, to me, as Low Strife pointed out, shout out Low Strife, there's a potential for an inverted Adam and Eve here. And it's always the same. You take the depth, you measure it, in this case lower. That gives you a level. This is part of the decision tree, right? This isn't, I think we're going to 56, I am short here. This looks not great, right? This looks kind of toppy in the moment, kind of tired. Just something to watch for. You know, this helped me decide to close my long because I'm like, yeah, you know what? I really don't want to eat that to the downside. This morning, I woke up. So this is the inverted Adam and Eve. We'll just save it so I can add it to the thing later. This morning, I woke up and I'm like, oh, you know what? I think this looks like an ascending triangle. I'll let's see what happens, right? You got to give yourself that optionality. It broke down. That's all she wrote. Is what it is. We can look at the fractals as well. We've probably hit, let's go to the hourly. So the problem with using the fractals as trailing stop losses, if you don't know what I'm talking about, these print a fractal here and a fractal here, okay? This is your support. This is your resistance. If you're in a bull trend like we are, you add when we break resistance, and the support fractals act as a trailing stop loss. If we go to the daily, there aren't any fractals yet, right? So if you're patient, the fractals are telling you you're fine. There's nothing to do here. You're just waiting for the fractal to print, right? There's not even a trailing stop loss to put on here other than 50.5. Even from the breakout at 43, right? Technically, the fractals are telling you to stay long. If we turn on the alligator, the combination of the alligator and the fractal, it's a great trading system. We had the moving average crosses with a breach of that resistance fractal, right? Which was also the inverted head and shoulder breakout. Great. So all this on the daily is still telling you stay long. There's no reason to close anything, okay? Which is one of the reasons why my bid-X position, I'm just leaving. There's nothing to do there. It's 2X. It's fine. So if you're in a lower time frame mindset, you know, you need a trailing stop loss somewhere. You can go down in time frame to the 12-hour, still nothing. We can go to the 8-hour, still nothing. 6-hour, still nothing. 4-hour, okay, now we get a fractal, right? And the reason we don't have any fractals is because on the higher time frames, we don't have a lower low to look at, right? So currently the trailing stop loss on a low time frame trade would be 57.3. I'm just going through this for people that I know use fractals and are asking me like, you know, there's no fractal here. What do I do? Like, you have to go down time frames. That's all you have to do, which is dangerous. It's subjective. It can get you into trouble. But even on the hourly, the fractals haven't pulled you out because these wicks, we never closed below the previous support. I hope this is making sense to people, but how this would work, right? We said this is the breakout or whatever, 52.5. The other question I get is, you know, do I pay attention to the fractals here? The pre-breakout, the fractals to me aren't that important on low time frames. Once the breakout happens, then you say game on, okay, your trade's open. And if anything, what I was telling people as well, NFA, for this system, you're getting all of these fractal breaches, right? So all of these, that was not a breach, 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 that was a breach. So this system is telling you where to add. And this really helps me because I'm always like, okay, you know, we got the breakout, then what? So it wants you to add here, add again here. That whole time, it's also telling you this is your trailing stop loss. Okay, trailing stop loss, trailing stop loss. The trailing stop loss is hit once we breach the fractal. So this says all the way up here, a couple hours ago, you're out. If you got in for 52.5 and you're looking at low time frame fractals, the stop loss would have been 62. Okay. That's pretty good. And it has you adding one more time here. And then you don't get another add because we never get a candle above the previous, right? You can always draw these out. I just think this is incredibly helpful because it removes the subjectivity. And it puts a little bit of process in this. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. I know a lot of people have started using these since I've been talking about them. And this goes hand in hand with unit sizing, right? Because you can say, let's say we have 100 units. Let's say we're looking at the breakout. Let's say on the breakout, we want to open X units. Pick a number, 25 units, okay? On every successive candle breach, we're adding whatever you want. 25 units? Do we want to add 20? Do we want to add 10, 5? But again, it's a way to like really dial it down, take the subjectivity out of it, and help you add when you really don't want to, right? like it's trying to tell you we're making higher highs, just keep adding, keep adding, keep adding. We know where the inevitable target is based on the high time frame stuff, right? So when you put all these pieces together, to me it makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense to other people, but it's one way to be a little bit stricter with what you're doing rather than just, you know, I feel good, let's keep adding. I agree, Joey. Anything that helps remove subjectivity. Because again, I know a lot of people who are like, we're at 60 or we're at 55. This has got to pull back. This has got to turn around. This has got to reverse. We're way too overbought here. That's always possible. But you have to give yourself the option. Shoot or shoot, okay? Now's the time to take your shot. 2022, not the time to take your shot. 2018, also not the time to take your shot. This is the type of environment where you take your shot. And if you're wondering on the breakout where you would put your stop loss, again, it's just the fractal, right? So in this case, initially it would have been a lower low at 51 effectively, right? Another question I get is, okay, we broke out. Do I move my stop loss to break even? I'm not a big fan of that generally because a lot of times we do typically retest the resistance as support to confirm it. Anyway, fractals are great. They're free. They're on TradingView. I changed the color, increased the size in case you're wondering if yours look different. I like to think of these as resistance and support, not the other way around. So all that being said, to me, the stop out on low time frames makes sense here. Did I add enough based on the fractals? I didn't. Okay, I added 2 or 3, I think I added 3 times left after the breakout. But this would have helped me a lot more than me just saying, oh yeah, I'm just gonna add, right? I just don't look at the hourly enough. But sometimes that's what you have to do. When the fractal breaks, you aim to still add on the TK on the cloud. So generally I separate that type of trading from this type of trading. You know, if this is a breakout trade on leverage, for me it's different than waiting on the TK stuff, right? The TK retracement stuff happens after a move has already happened, right? So if we're breaking out, we're probably not going to retest the key June on the daily, for example, you know. First this, then this, focus on the breakout, then focus on the retracement. And this technique works for anything. Like we can go to ETH and you'll probably see the same exact thing. If we put on the pivots, what are the pivots telling us? Okay, so we're above that pivot. The pivot gods blessed ETH with a move clean through the pivot on this go around at 32. The daily fractals here are perfect, right? If we assume we are entering on the TK cross, the bullish TK cross. Currently your stop loss is basically the yearly pivot below on the daily at 27.50. We can take this down a few time frames. And what was it, 2,500 was the breakout? Sure, somewhere in here. Maybe it takes you out at the pivot on the 4 hour, right? So you do have a little bit of subjectivity, optionality, depending on which time frame you're looking at. So you do have to kind of read the room a little bit. 12 hour looks fine to me. You never break a pivot fractal there. 8 hour, it also takes you out maybe at 27.50. Judgment call, but that's close. The other part of this is, do you put the trailing stop losses on the order book or not? I usually don't, because I'm usually around watching this, but if you're not at the computer or you're not at your trading station, then yeah, you might need to put them on the order book. So currently for ETH, trailing stop losses at 3,200. ETH does not have a tweezer top, but it also does not have a happy candlestick on the current daily. Typically, we see like a trident. You know, it sounds like I'm making shit up, but I promise you. Typically, we get like a trident where it's like 3 wicks. It's usually not super bullish either. Anyway. All right, Bitcoin, ETH. We can go high time frame, ultra high time frame, Bitcoin. A lot of people have been asking me about the monthly TK cross. I only talked about it a couple weeks ago because somebody else had asked me. I've never looked at the monthly, honestly, other than recently. So this is singled cloud settings. And it's showing a bullish TK cross, right? Above the cloud, bullish cloud. Like everything here is telling you, expect bullish continuation, expect higher highs, expect new all-time highs, just as it did in 2016, 2020. The trend is your friend. This is not saying, like many people are going to say, this is a double top, this is going to fail. What else can I say? There's resistance at 65. Yeah, all that's probably true, but the high time frame cloud is telling you it's go time, right? Like we might consolidate at 65, we might hit some angry sells, but we look good. We look really good. This is the default on monthly. Also the same, right? Bullish TK cross, price above cloud. You get these once a cycle, right? Once a cycle. This is it. So are we going to go to infinity tomorrow? Probably not. But the trend looks very, very good. Very, very good. If we go to the weekly cloud, we actually got a weekly Kumo twist. Midweek, which I don't think is common, okay? That just goes to show you how strong that candle was. If we're talking about ultra high time frame support levels, unquestionably 42 is that level, because that is the cloud support and that is the 20-week moving average. historically, excluding 2020, if we dial this back all the way to 2017, historically we do retest the 20 week frequently. What I said a couple days ago on the stream, I don't know if we have enough energy to actually get us back down there. You know, that's like dangerous to say. In 2017, markets were thin. We had whales throwing coins around. We had news that wasn't favorable. We had extremely high leverage. It's not like we don't have any of that now, but the ETFs may change things a little bit. The most recent cycle, we never retraced to the 20 week until the end, right? So that's useless as a support. This is to the people who are thinking like, okay, how do I get in here? What do I do? You can always look to the high time frame stuff, but man, 42? Possible. Something else I saw people talking about, like, what if this entire thing is a head and shoulders? Inverted head and shoulders. Anything's possible. I think that is unlikely to play out as an inverted head and shoulders, but it's something to watch for if we stall out at 65, right? It's not that this isn't that pattern, it's that usually you don't see that at the top, right? You don't see a bullish reversal pattern at the top of a trend. You could probably consider this a cup and handle too, but like it doesn't really matter because the end result is the same. And I talked about this months ago at this point in the all-time high checklist video. If we are looking for all-time high targets in the near term, you take the high, you take the low, project that higher. This is the high time frame zone. If we break all-time high, it's easily six figures, comfortably into the 100s. So yeah, just something to think about. But we look good. We look really, really good. And mainly that's because of the ETF flows. The ETF flows have been insane. New all-time high in flows yesterday. Let me just pull up that chart real quick. If I can find it. Oh, thanks, Pentelga. The MPH is on YouTube, so I will post that. If we look at the flows for 5 seconds, because I'm sure people have seen this ad nauseum at this point, but in case you haven't, yesterday was a record day for inflows. It was a record day for BlackRock. It's hard to be bearish when you see stuff like that. You could say it's FOMO. You can justify it and rationalize it all you want, but at the end of the day, these are people that are buying Bitcoin. This is fresh capital. It'd be one thing if we're getting pushed up on leverage. This is not leverage, right? This is dollar bills, y'all. Dollar bills. Just a massive inflow day. Today's probably not going to be this big. We can look at the volumes. Let me just check. Yesterday's volumes were bigger than any other ETF, which is also insane. Today is under that. Still quite large, but it's under yesterday's numbers. Just looking at the volume on TradingView. It's still 2 billion, right? It's huge. Anyway, so that's Bitcoin. We're doing well, doing good, still bullish, unquestionably. I think we consolidate here for a little bit. And that's really the best case for alts, right? Like alts need Bitcoin to just relax. Just like, by the way, in case you didn't know, let's check out NVIDIA relative to BTC. And let's go to like the 4 hour. Bitcoin moved. I'm just going to delete this. Bitcoin moved after NVIDIA slowed down, right? So clearly the hot ball of money is focused on the craziest of the crazy, right? NVIDIA, SMCI, what else? What, I don't even know. But the moment NVIDIA finally had its earnings and finally just took 5 seconds to take a breather, that was enough. Now, I don't think this is NVIDIA people buying Bitcoin per se, but maybe, you know. But what we needed was a combination of speculators and institutional capital to push this above that resistance level, right? So all of this stuff is slowly coming together. Then if we look at the DXY, which is the dollar index, we are inverse to the DXY, okay? So we want to see weakness in the DXY. And sure enough, what did we see that helped us? None of this stuff individually is going to do much, but the DXY actually pulled back a little bit, right? Like there's some weakness there. DXY down, NVIDIA up, NVIDIA stopping, and then Bitcoin runs. So the alt picture is exactly this, right? Like what's a frothy alt we can compare? I guess Doge. Binance. If we go to like, you know, hourly, let's move this to a new scale. I know people know how this works, but just in case you don't, like again, here's the breakout for Bitcoin. Doge started to break out after. The moment we got to Bitcoin's level, Doge broke out, right? Just all the reason to focus on Bitcoin first and then figure it out. Anyway, that's enough Bitcoin. We look good. Let's merge all these onto one. Yeah, Jarv, go for it. Just trying to see if there's any other last things up here. I don't think so. You know, maybe this doesn't inverted Adam and Eve, but maybe it head and shoulders. I don't know. Like we're gonna need to spend some time here, I think, for a minute to figure some stuff out on BTC. ETH looks really good to me. Still, similar fractals though at the top. On the daily, it's well past. I'm just going to delete the ascending triangle at this point. That's in the rear view. Support level on ETH would be 2,800, 2,840 if we don't keep going higher on ETH. What else? 28 is also basically the support on weekly. ETH's weekly cloud is getting ready to twist to bullish. ETH has 4 weekly green candles now that are of size. ETH is pretty close to its own all-time high. I don't really have too much to say on ETH. Just thinking. I don't think there's anything else to say, right? Yeah, Rhino, that could be head and shoulders. You know, you just have to watch it play out, right? It could be a few different things. Dev, I talked about why I closed Doge a few minutes ago, but I was saying funding was hot. I was up 150%. I closed it and immediately rolled it into a spot position. The leverage position wasn't coin margined, so if you're in a bull market, you generally want to be coin margined because then you get extra juice. Effectively, you're longing your longs versus stablecoin margined, right? You know, you're not capturing the price appreciation of the collateral because the collateral is $1, whereas if the collateral is Dogecoin or Bitcoin, then you get extra juice. All right, let me read these questions. BTC dominance is rallying up very similar to June 2019 instead of 2021, which led to a reversal. All right, let's take a look at dominance. I blame Ben for bringing dominance to the forefront, honestly. It's not a bad thing, but I blame Ben. Why isn't it pulling up? BTC.D. So you're saying that, let's pop on the Bitcoin halving periods, and you're saying very similar to June 2019. June 2019, okay. So you're saying into halving at that time we popped up. We've done something like a 300% correction since 2021, December 2021. On dominance, I'm assuming that's what you mean. Let me just double check. No, not on dominance. The number of BTC wallets in profit has gone over 90%. Okay, we're at all-time highs. That's not really an issue. Yeah, like that's what you say. We've done something like 300% since December 2021. I don't know what that means. Oh, you mean on spot. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, we were down 80%. That doesn't bother me. If Bitcoin consolidates, okay, like this is what maybe the bears would want. So he's saying basically we're very overbought on Bitcoin. Dominance could roll over it post Bitcoin halving. And he's saying we're in quantitative tightening, which is true, but also not true because of the reverse repo. One thing we could do up here over the next couple months, right? Like we could range just like we did in 21 and 2022. But what are the differences between now and then? There's no SPF to sell us off. The altcoin narratives are there, but to me, they're not super strong. Retail's gone. Retail's not here. Retail doesn't have money for this. Okay, they just don't. NFTs aren't really a thing. DeFi, not really a thing, right? You know, if we compare the narratives to then to now, the biggest one is no Alameda. The actual biggest one is we've got ETFs, right? Like billions a week are pouring into Bitcoin. When that slows down, then we can talk. When everybody in the world has access to the ETFs and they decide, no, price is too high. I don't want any of this Bitcoin thing. Then things will be different. But people are still onboarding. That's going to take months. We've seen like very early adopters pick this stuff up. So I'm not really worried about any of that, honestly. Like I said in one of the videos, it's different this time. It just is. We've never had a regulated institutional capital flow into Bitcoin ever, period, end of story. We just haven't. We've had some people get in, but it's never been frictionless like it is now. So I'm not really worried about that. As far as the QE versus QT stuff, I mean, we can pull up the yield spread. Where is it at? Dot plot. Oh, the life of a man with multiple trading view windows. Is it this one? No, it's a different one. It's down here somewhere. 2x4 Dixie plus this one. So although we are in a quantitative tightening cycle, meaning the Fed is taking assets off of the balance sheet, we have this fun little thing called reverse repo in the white. Reverse repo on this graph is inverted. So in 2022 and 2021, the reverse repo was growing. You can think of it as money that's getting thrown into money market accounts, money that is getting taken into yield, money that is taken out of risk, okay? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's coming out of Bitcoin. It just means the general sentiment of everybody is rates are rising. I want yield. The Fed is on a hiking regime, okay? So although, yes, we're in quantitative tightening, since the beginning of 2023, I guess Q2 2023, we'll say just about 2 trillion. Can we say that? Yeah, we can say that. Just about $2 trillion has come out of this thing. So if we're using it as a sentiment gauge, it timed the bottom very well. So yeah, we're in QT, but we also have this other thing called reverse repo where all this money is getting poured back into the ecosystem via buying US debt, okay? Up until now, reverse repo has continued to drain, which has benefited the S&P clearly. S&P in the yellow here, Bitcoin in the orange. Just recently, like over the past couple days, the reverse repo has started to grow again. So that could be an early warning sign, again, relative to sentiment. Is money flowing into risk or out of risk? Are people worried about rising yields or falling yields? I don't know if this is actionable in any way, but it does look like the tide is changing a little bit on reverse repo. That may be a headwind for us if they keep rates high, if they continue QT, which by all accounts, that's what looks like is going to happen. Two other things to look at are the high yield bonds, HYG ETF, and Euro USD, which is kind of inverse DXY as well. We are pretty correlated with the Euro historically, positively on the Bitcoin side, which makes sense because we're inverse with DXY. The Euro has actually turned down quite a bit. Okay. High yield bonds, the Euro in the green. I don't know how easy that is to see on the stream, but high yield bonds have been consolidating. Again, if we're thinking about liquidity and risk, other people do a much better job explaining this than me, but just putting this all together, we may be seeing a turn of the tide here shortly if the risk sentiment is still, or not still, but kind of reverses a little bit. I don't know. I hope that all makes sense. So we can say QT, but not really. It hasn't been restrictive. It really hasn't. And look what's happened, right? Anyway. So that's been really good for us. On top of the ETFs, we can look at the, what is it? Tree Bite, I think. Right? Isn't that the name of the site? Bite Tree, Bite, is it Bite Tree? Maybe it's Bite Tree. Bite Tree. Yeah, Isaac's right. That's the other thing. We are hitting all-time highs on like all of these currencies already. The US is going to be the last to fall because the DXY is so strong, the dollar is so strong. But if you're in those countries and you're seeing this, you know, we just, I think, broke the Australian all-time high in AUD yesterday or the day before. If you're seeing this, I think you're questioning, like, what's going on, right? Like 30 countries are at a Bitcoin all-time high. Maybe there's something to this, you know. If we look at the flows in maybe a different way, Bite Tree is a really good visual for this. If we go to, where is it, down here? $30-day flows. So Bite Tree has aggregated all the global ETPs, ETFs, ETNs, crypto-wise, in Bitcoin land. And if we look at the number of Bitcoin that have been purchased, this is in alignment with 2020, right? November 2020, October 2020. If we're looking at monthly flows, very similar to that period. So yes, TA is important. Yes, macro is important-ish. Geopolitical stuff, sure. But if money is coming in and there isn't coins to be sold to buy, or for them to buy, price goes up, right? Supply demand. That's it. So this is another way to measure that. It's really good. Everything looks really good. I hope that answers some of your questions. I don't know. I could be wrong. Let me know. So TLDR. Dominance is, I don't want to say nonsense because it's not nonsense. Where is it? Where the flip is my dominance chart? Previously, we've been in our own little pond of crypto, right? We've only really had crypto people trading crypto. Some outside capitalists come in. We've got stable coins that have been great. You know, if we add the stablecoin thing to dominance, crypto cap, USDT. Let's do this. New price, maybe. Can we do log scale? This is good. This is good, chat. I don't think Ben doesn't tell you about this, okay? Ben will do an hour and a half on dominance, and he won't tell you this. If we look at historically, when dominance broke down, what did it take? It really needed outside capital for alts to do well. It needed Tether. This was 2017. Here's your 2019, 2020. The orange, we'll make it a different color. The white line is Tether circulating supply, okay? So dominance goes down, stable supply goes up in 2017 into 2018. In 2020 and 2021, same thing. This is just Tether. We know there's other stables, right? Anchor, whatever else at that time. Currently, you know, we're not really seeing a big driver higher in Tether. So to me, this is another way of saying wait for Bitcoin halving to get into alts. Wait for liquidity, crypto native liquidity to come back in a bigger way. It's not like Tether disappeared, right? There's still a massive jump here in issuance. But alts would do better if Tether was at 200 billion instead of 100 billion, right? And I think I talked about this on a video. It's like a 2.5x if you look at total 2 relative to the crypto market, or total 2 relative to stablecoin circulating supply. Historically, in those cycles, the jumps in stablecoin circulating supply have led to a 2.5x roughly jump in total 2. So that's also something to think about, is Tether circulating supply and what it's going to take outside of the money that's already here to push alts up. So yeah, we could see alts do crazy well again, but right now, currently on a relative basis, the money's not going into alts. It's going into Bitcoin. Anyway, that's why Bitcoin's doing good. You know, like we can say the ETFs matter or don't matter, but to me, it's all about what is the data telling you. The data is telling you billions a week is flowing in, baby. We are flowing in. I would like to point out that wallets tend to be at 90% in profit at the end of a cycle, not the beginning. Why am I asking about potential reversal like June as the retail is not in? We are in QT. We still haven't, oh, we deleted that. Well, I mean, if anything, you'd expect everything to do better if they start printing money, if liquidity generally improves, if they go into QE over QT, right? I mean, that's why we're here. We are a absorber of liquidity globally. So Jarv, I think that is relevant and important to watch, but the more important thing is ETFs. That's it. The flows, right? That's all there is. That's why dominance is doing well. That's why Bitcoin is higher. You know, pick an alt. Somebody, Ripple. Does Ripple have an ETF? No. How's Ripple dominance doing? All-time low. Okay, like it's that simple. Why are the ETFs doing so well is another question. Well, we've spent 10 years proving that Bitcoin is a very important asset to own. That's it. Dave's just here for the memes. Joe's here for the tech. All right, what else we got? What else we got? That's Bitcoin. So look, you can think about all this till you're blue in the face. I talked about this in a video this week, right? We looked at, what did we look at? Total 2 over BTC, right? So this is the alt BTC index, let's call it. And it is roughly dominance inverted. This does not look like a chart that wants to reverse here. And we can put the cloud on this. Cloud says it's bearish, it's potentially oversold. And I always have to hedge what I'm saying with alts because I know people are going to hear I'm going to say one thing and people are going to hear another. Like, oh, it's oversold. I'm going to go buy everything. Like, no, like, that's not how this works. It's like that Joey meme from Friends where you're like repeating one word after the other and then you just do something else. There is a bull div here. This could diamond bottom out, right? This TKC clamp suggests oversold, and we could reverse. If we pop on the halving stuff, right, we tend to do better post-halving. So I wouldn't pay attention to this until we're at the very least in the weekly cloud. We are light years away from the weekly cloud. Just another reason broadly not to focus on alts. Based on relative value stuff within the alt ecosystem, there are some great trades to be made. There are some great trades to be made on some higher caps. You have to be tactical. You have to be reasonable and rational. I don't think sitting in alts has helped you, right? You know, if you've been sitting in an alt portfolio since the beginning of the year, the beginning of 2023, you've lost money on a relative value basis considerably. So keep that in mind. What else was on this chart? I think that's it, right? I mean, we can look at like total 3. Like let's pull out ETH. What did I say? Was it on stream or on a video? I said, if you're in alts, you better hope this is not the descending triangle. Sorry, you better hope this is not a descending triangle. Well, guess what? This broke down. You got a lower low, and it looks like it's headed to the target. Total 3 BTC is coming home, guys. Total 3 BTC is coming home. That's what I'm trying to say. Jarv, another question. One last question. What would Tyler Jenks think? Would he classify this as the last stage of a hyperwave or the first phase? So I'm not familiar with, I know Tyler, I know Leah's work, obviously. I'm not too familiar with hyperwave stuff. I'm definitely not familiar with Elliott wave. Again, I know what this stuff is, but I don't use it. So I'm not sure how to answer that question. What's up, Tyga? Reppin' Michigan. That's right. It's coming home, guys. Total 3 BTC is coming home. So as bearish as I am on alts, what I said Wednesday or something, there's this obsession with newer traders. Like all they want to do is top tick the high. They want to bottom tick the low. I don't think there's any issues here with buying stuff that has a pulse, looks okay on the USD pairs, and you want to start easing your way in, right? That goes back to the initial conversation about positioning, right? Like, why do I own alts at all? Well, I'm not completely dumb. Like, I know alts are eventually probably going to do well. So yeah, maybe you want to take profit into alt positions. Maybe you want to start opening some spot alt positions. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because this looks turbo bearish. It should be turbo bearish based on the flows, but you never know, right? So yeah, sure, buy alts, have fun. Like, don't let me stop you. Some alts have done really well. I'm just trying to think where we want to go next with this. Solana, BTC. What do we want to talk about? I guess Solana. Solana has hit another super proud of the cloud moment. Solana has hit the official target of the WNBA. No, the official target of the cloud on the weekly, edge to edge. The funny and sad part about all these edge to edge moves is, just as people are learning this trade setup, like you're not gonna see this setup again for like 4 years. Okay, so like you're gonna have to learn the next thing, and that's what being around multiple cycles has helped with, like seeing broadly how this stuff moves from cycle to cycle, to be able to see and have the foresight to say, yeah, this is the type of trade you're looking for ahead of time. Anyway, so that looks good on Solana. On the daily, I was talking about this cup and handle for a little while, and that looks to be playing out currently. I'm a bit of a pancake instead of a waffle, in a sense that when I'm worried about funding and I have this one-track mind, even though I should be trading stuff like Solana, I just don't. Like this is definitely a margin long for me at 118. I said that somewhere. Okay, did I take that trade? No, I definitely should have. But it's hard for me when I'm thinking like funding, closing positions, whatever. Does this hit 140, 150? I don't know. Funding's quite hot, but that would have been a great trade. This cup and handle is very much alive and well though on Solana, so that looks good. What else is there? What else is there? Please update the ET screener. You guys can update it yourself, right? You can just go into TradingView and do it. But I can do that. You ever do Wyckoff stuff or Schmidt? I leave Wyckoff and Elliott Wave to other people. I like Wyckoff more than Elliott Wave, to be clear, but I don't pay too much attention to that stuff. I think it's too subjective. How much do we need retail to come in for alts to make new highs? Also in 2019, retail was not in just like now. I mean, I said we want to see stablecoin growth. You were probably here last cycle for the Anchor TikTok crowd. If you weren't, people were talking about Anchor and Luna on TikTok, okay? Like, that's when you've reached the pinnacle of retail. When you've got Zoomers talking about yielding Lambos on TikTok, okay? We're not there yet, for sure. All right, so that's Solana. There's not really much to do. On the daily, it looks fine. Many of these alt charts on the daily have a bullish TK crisscross, or have had one. It's a great long-term hold, I think. It's cycle hold. I have no problems with that. Is it going to outperform Bitcoin? I don't think so. You know, it'll have its moments. Yeah, that's Solana. ADA, same thing. That just had a TK. Guess we can get rid of this now. That just had a TK crisscross. It had an inverted head and shoulders. It's got a broader, if we turn off the cloud, whatever you want to call this. You know, do we want to call this another inverted head and shoulders? Sure. Like all of this stuff wants to go higher. It's just, there's a lot of leverage in alts right now, right? There's a lot of leverage in alts right now. So you got to be careful. Got to be careful. Let's just go down the list real quick. Dot. TK crisscross on the daily. Sure, why not? Link. Long-standing TK crisscross on the daily. Maybe this is head and shoulders at the top. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Everything's bullish over the long term. Aave. It's about to pull above the daily cloud with a bullish TK cross. Dino DeFi is probably going to do well. SNX, same thing. This is the beauty of the cloud. You can just run through these in half a second. ETC, let's go on the weekly. Kind of like Doge, ETC has spent a long time doing a bunch of nothing. It's got this Adam and Eve thing going on. It sure, why not, right? Looks fine. IMX looks great. Daily TK crisscross. I gotta talk about INJ for the INJ guy. INJ looks great. Bullish TK cross above cloud. Sure, why not? Weekly looks fine, right? Price discovery, bullish. You know, am I gonna 50x long any of these? No. Algo I like for a different reason. Algo I like because it is in the dump, has been for many years, and it's pulling above the weekly, into the weekly cloud. So I've talked about this one a few times. Anything that looks like this for me is just looking like a snack, let me tell you. Near is the same. Near is already in the weekly cloud. This chart looks great to me. Any version of this, send it. Send it higher. Sushi, same thing, right? It doesn't really matter what it is. I don't really care. All I'm saying is this chart looks really good to me from a cloud perspective. Comp. Look at comp. Do you know how many weeks I was ridiculed, chat, for talking about comp? Well, guess what? Who's laughing now? Who's laughing now? Yeah, so everything, including the ultra turbo super scams like Hex and Pulse Chain, probably look good, okay? IOTA and Ripple probably look good. There are 10,000 things to trade. I won't be trading any of that nonsense. Comp looks good. Doge, one of the reasons why I took the long for the second time. The first time I took the long, it was a couple of weeks ago. The reason I got into Doge on leverage and on spot is because of this, right? Same thing. Weekly cloud. You know, I feel like I say the same thing every week, so I don't know how useful this is, but look at Hood. Look at Hood go. Wouldn't you know? It's in the cloud on the weekly. Broke the range. Left for dead for 2 years. What else do you want? What else do you want? Love that setup. Filecoin I have up here somewhere. Same thing, right? It doesn't matter what the chart is. I'm not a community member. I don't care about these coins. I'm in it for the tech. I'm in it for the tech. People are screaming at me that Tezos. Let's look at it. Let's look at all the dumpster fire that is Tezos and all the others. This one's for Mass. Mass is a big Tezos guy. This reminds me of the chart we just looked at, right? ETC. Sure, Why not? Why not? Kathleen Brightman and company. Sure. If there's any time, it's probably better. Yeah. Look at my scribbles. If there was any time to trade this in the past 5 years, it would be now. Okay. Same setup. The same setup you've seen for months. First on Bitcoin, then on Solana, then on a bunch of other stuff. No different. Absolutely no different. It's just a matter of pick your favorites, size of them appropriately. Be patient, have conviction, use leverage minimally, okay? And go to town. Why not? Like, this is what the tech is for. It's telling you we've consolidated for a long time. On any of these charts that have an Adam and Eve like this, you might get like a shoulder, but I wouldn't fret at a right shoulder. These look really good. These look really, really good. EOS, speaking of dead chains, similar, right? This one I think has more time. Zcash, my favorite punching bag. Needs more time. We'll get rid of that. Needs more time. Like, I'm talking 6 months, okay? Because I know there's still Zcash bag holders, okay? Don't get excited. That's why I hate even talking about some of this stuff, because I know how people are. This is going to take a minute. Mana, complete trash, right? Don't care. Don't care. Doesn't matter. It's in the cloud. You're getting a bullish TK cross here within a couple weeks. Sure, why not? Why not? Why not? Somebody give me a good reason. Flow, same thing. Chart pattern, TK cross, into the cloud soon. These are dumpster fire garbage coins, okay? I don't care. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Same thing with Filecoin. We already talked about that one. Jarv, I like Kraken over Coinbase because of the fees. The fees are much better on Kraken. Kraken also has functionality that I like over Coinbase. Leverage, I use GMX. There's Quenta. There's a bunch of dexes for leverage you can use. Don't DM me in 6 months saying you lost everything. You know, be careful. What else? What else? I think I've been pretty good with, oh, I can talk about FET. I've been pretty good with chat. Catching up. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Now in the live, or if you're watching this later in the recording. Yeah, FET. FET we've talked about for a little while. You know, I have drawings on here, so I know I've talked about it before, but I'm sure I talk about it every week. This chart looks great. It's in price discovery. You know, the problem, again, it's like, I say I'm bullish Filecoin, somebody opens a 50x long on Filecoin, right? Like, I say I'm bullish on this, somebody puts their retirement in this, okay? Just be careful. That's all I'm saying. This looks amazing. It looks great. This is a long-term hold if you believe in this fundamentally. The cloud absolutely loves it. Full send, amazing. What I like about FET, I said in a video yesterday, I like the FET BTC chart. And it's breaking out right now, today. What I said in the video is this was an ascending triangle, and it looks really good for higher highs. If we try to map out a target, what is this? I gotta turn on decimals. How many sats? 4,000 sats. That's my target, boys. Book it. 2x from here. And again, be careful, okay? Because I know somebody's going to throw 5 BTC at this and inevitably lose it all. So be careful. That's all I'm saying. TA likes it. TA likes it. Ave, I talked about, it looked fine on the daily. you know, everybody has their like, here's the dirty little secret, right? Everybody has their pet project that they like fundamentally, or that they've used, something in DeFi, whatever it is. Tezos, right? Whatever, doesn't matter. Technicals don't care about any of that, okay? Technicals don't care. Find the chart that looks the best. Keep your hodl bag in EOS for 16 years. I don't care. But if you're trading this honestly, you're trading stuff that looks like this over Zcash. You're trading stuff that looks like this over IOTA. Okay. You're looking for setups like this. You're looking for 2 years of death. Like why did Doge pop up today? Didn't I literally say we're going to wake up with Doge at 13 cents one day? I'm pretty sure I said that. Yeah, this chart looks really good. Definitely one of the better looking charts against Bitcoin, and that's pretty hard to do at the moment. Any other crypto stuff? Someone wanted me to look at a render. I mean, all this stuff, if it's at all-time highs, you know, there's nothing really to worry about. What I hope is the people who ask me about this type thing didn't just get in yesterday and are sweating because they're down 2%, right? You know, I'm hoping they got in 500% ago, you know, just wondering when should I sell. I hope. Yeah, Jarv, I'm not talking about that coin either. Yeah, there's people in this chat who've mentioned a lot of this stuff months ago. I've poo-pooed it. Alts aren't for me. I think everybody knows that. But this stuff looks fine. It looks fine. Render looks fine. There was a bunch of other stuff. Let me just check real quick before we move on to legacy stuff. Render miners, we're going to talk about Manta. See, like this freshly listed airdrop L1 nonsense, I just can't be bothered. Like, what am I going to do with this? It's got no history. It's got people unlocking coins. Why? I just don't care. You know, like I pulled up this one earlier. The this airdrop thing. I just don't care. The chart looks fine. I just don't care. You know, maybe that's a double bottom. Maybe this pulls up. I just don't care. I'm sorry. I'd rather trade dinosaurs that have bottomed for 2 years than pretend to know enough about the Solana ecosystem to trade whatever the hell that is. I think I answered that. Sorry, I'm just reading something. ILV says Golshi. Yeah, see, when people bring me stuff like this is what I like, right? Look at this. Look at this piece of trash on the weekly. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. Golshi's already on it. I'm going to say the same thing I've been saying. I don't care what it is. It's in the weekly cloud. It's paid its dues. Is this thing going to go to 1,000? Probably not. Probably not. Is it tradable? Absolutely. Absolutely. He says Mex C has the best. Yeah, sure. Looks fine. Yeah, well, we shit posted. Golshi studied the cloud. ICP. Yeah. You know, I wouldn't touch this one, but that looks good. H bar. Also, I said looks great. Unfortunately, right? It doesn't matter what it is. at all. It just doesn't matter. The chart looks good. Partially this is because it just ran out of sellers, right? It's not necessarily fundamentally a great project. Just ran out of sellers. Storage, probably not a great one from memory. Okay, I guess not. Not horrible. I would rather have Filecoin, just because I don't know if people even know what this thing is, but maybe. Gala. People keep asking me about this one. Sure, right? You don't need me to tell you what I think. You know what I'm going to say. You know exactly what I'm going to say. Exactly, Cryptoski. It's in the weekly cloud. That's all you need. If you're in the weekly cloud using the weekly cloud, or using the crypto settings, sure. Look at this piece of crap. Sure. Love it. Absolutely love it. No idea what this is. Some people have asked me about this before, but same thing, right? I think the stuff that will tend to work out better is if the narrative or the ecosystem is not ecosystem. If the market's focused on ETH, right? ETH coins should do better. If the market's focused on Solana, the Solana ecosystem should do better. By better, I mean those charts should have appreciation accordingly on their clouds, right? Exactly, Kieran. SQ, man, I've been talking about this one for I don't even know how long. Months? Same thing, right? That's the beauty of the technicals. It doesn't matter what it is. This is the crypto cloud. If we use the legacy cloud, love it. Will this go to 170? No clue. But it's in the cloud finally. Shopify. Let's take a look. Shopify. Yeah, I mean, I guess that one worked out. I don't think I would touch it here. But it looks okay. Yeah, Coin, Robinhood, all this stuff is effectively the same. This is, Coin is above its weekly cloud at this point, just barely, but it looks good. I mean, what are you gonna say? It keeps making highs, it keeps dipping and getting bought. What else do you want in a chart, right? Cloud loves it on the weekly. It's just a matter of like, what do you want to trade, right? If you believe in the business fundamentally, sure, love it. Uniswap, same thing, right? Are you always selecting all time frame and then weekly? I don't know what that means, but I'm usually starting at the weekly. I think that's enough on the crypto side. Let me run through the legacy side real quick. We'll start with MSTR. Everyone I've asked, and myself included, I have no clue why this thing is running as hot as it is. It makes no sense to me. It's basically running as a 2x Bitcoin ETF. I have no clue. I couldn't tell you why it's running like this. Still looks great on the pitchfork. Almost back to all-time highs. I don't know what else to say, right? It looks great. But, you know, if you're in MSTR, congrats. It continues to look really good. I just don't know why. Couldn't tell you. An infinite amount of questions on the miners lately. You can probably see why. This is the miner ETF. I still think this breaks out, probably. The problem with miners, much like altcoins, people are too concentrated in the miners is my sensation and my feeling. The people trading the miners are only trading miners. They're not trading anything else. It's like alts on leverage. That's fine. But when it doesn't work, it really stings, right? So I still like this stuff. You just got to be careful about the individual names. They're not my favorite businesses. Halving's coming up. Riot, Hut, I would not own either of those. Mara to me looked fine. Let me just pull up the other. If we go to Mara on the 4 hour, Mara to me and a few other people, I'm not going to name names, looked pretty good into earnings. Earnings I thought were okay, but just down 15% today or whatever it is. I think a lot of this is just fatigue because the charts are up so much. You know, this was up 42% in like a week or a day or two, whatever this is. Like, I still think this plays out. I still like the chart pattern. Much like alts on leverage versus alts on spot, I think you have to be patient with these charts personally. I like the plays. I would not go 100% miners. I would be careful. These are alts, just like alts. What else do I want to say about miners? Anything? I think that's it. Roughly, these charts mirror coin. They mirror a lot of this other stuff on the crypto side that's in legacy. And it doesn't matter what it is. Like, we can go through the miners. If the miner looks like this, I don't want to touch it until it's in the weekly cloud, right? It's the same mindset. So, like, yes, you can love the story, you can love the business. Oh my God, they're building in my city. Oh my God, they have, they're burning tires, whatever they're doing. Okay. The tech doesn't care. That's irrelevant. It just doesn't matter. Sorry. So something like SDIG or Wolf or whatever else, like anything that's at lows, I would not touch. I would not buy weakness in this stuff. Agree is another one. Agrees are probably a great trade. If they live 3 to 6 months from now, this could easily go to zero. IREN, I still like a lot. Looks fine to me. I think it's still eventually going to play out as a great trade if we measure this 10 to 12 maybe. Maybe higher if we're not conservative. 10 to 15. But you just got to be careful because this stuff will just, like, look at this stuff today. All of the miners are down. Miners down. Bitcoin basically flat, right? Welcome to the beta effect. Coin up on the day. MSTR up on the day. Let's talk about Mag 7 a little bit for a second. Just a good idea to have an opinion here. Quick little spot check. I don't know why this image is in my head. I was going to say it during the video instead of Sunday, but this looks like to me like an arm that got sucked into a wood chipper and it's like mangled. I don't know why. It's gruesome. Okay. It looks about as gross as you could imagine a chart looking. I don't know where this goes from here, but as long as it's at highs, we're okay. On the crypto side, SMCI doesn't look as gross, but just consolidating, right? Looks fine. Not that SMCI is in the Mag 7. Microsoft and Apple had this head and shoulders stuff. Apple much worse than Microsoft. Apple doesn't look like anything I want to touch, personally. even if this doesn't break down, this just tells me that there's clearly technical weakness here. It's just not for me. Doesn't really affect crypto directly, but there's clearly weakness in Apple. Netflix, is that a new all-time high for Netflix? Almost. Almost a new all-time high. So, you know, some of this stuff looks really good. Amazon, I was talking about whether or not this is going to hit my target. It's almost there, so I'm still holding onto that one. SMH is the other one that I'm holding a little bit of. Looks really good to me still. It's in the wheelhouse for the take profit zone. So everything, you know, it looks okay. The kids are all right, as they say. S&P just keeps grinding higher, almost back to all-time highs. This might break down. This might affect crypto, but so far so good. Just slow and steady. QQQ, same thing. IWM, same thing. Just kind of add highs, right? Looks good. Yeah, NVIDIA, I said it's one of the ugliest charts. Not bearish, it's just ugly. I don't know what you do with this, honestly. No idea. I'm at a loss for words. I guess you could fib the high and the low. And like, if NVIDIA goes to 1,000, Bitcoin's at all-time highs and beyond. Okay, because that means people are still very risk on, right? I don't know how else to even pretend to analyze this because it's just so ugly. I don't know. I don't know, you know? One thing you hope to see is bears still say, like, we got to go down, we got to go down. This is a short. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that chart. Bizarre. Gold don't care. Dixie, we talked about. Regional banks, how are they doing? Let's look at regional bank ETF. Do we really care? Not really. Looks fine. Steven says NVIDIA just goes up and up and up. That's all you need to know. You heard it here first. Steven is probably very long NVIDIA. BTC divided by USM1. Sure. Let's take a look. What does this chart tell you? Oh, what did I do? I don't know why. If oh, is it no? Invalid symbol. Sometimes the time frame doesn't work. I'm not sure. Can't pull that one up, Sargon, sorry. You guys got anything else on the legacy side before we wrap it up? In your experience, what are the biggest misconceptions retail investors have about the cryptocurrency market, and how can they overcome these misconceptions to make informed investment decisions? Well, I kind of hinted at the tech doesn't matter, the fundamentals don't matter, because they don't. Focus on the tech as in the technology. Focus on the technicals, not the technology. That's how I would avoid that trap, because you'll hear the best thing since sliced bread, like EOS, right? I heard the EOS pitch personally twice, IRL. Man, it sounded great. How's EOS doing? Let's take a look. Not so great. How about against BTC? Has it done anything? Oh, look at that. It's at an all-time low. Oh, man. Oh, brother. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I can take a look at Snowflake. So a way not to get sucked into alts is to be a believer and become a community member. If you like something, sure, buy it. But if you want to trade and invest in something, I like technicals over technology. It's a good name for a band. Technicals over technology. Yeah, I think somebody was talking about Snowflake somewhere. This kind of reminds me of Snap a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what to do here because I guess you could say it's back to the breakout. This probably needs 6 months to repair itself. So if you want to sit in this thing for that amount of time, personally, there's probably better stuff to touch. That is an ugly chart on multiple time frames. What do you think of African Amazon? Never heard of it. Let's take a look. Look at that. Hold on. What is this? Nicholas, come here. Come here. What is this? What? Did it gap down like 2,000% one day? What happened? Basically gapped down 100%. Oh man. The cloud loves it. So yeah. It's got a complex inverted head and shoulders, right? Looks great. Looks great. Cloud like 7, but it probably keeps going, you know? Hood, I talked about briefly. It looks great. I mean, these are the type of charts I just sit in for 6 months. Keep buying. Looks phenomenal to me. Joey, how dare you? Joey, take that back. Bad, Joey. Bad. Yeah, this chart looks great. Love it. Anything else, guys, before we get out of here? PayPal. PayPal's still in that death falling wedge, isn't it? Yeah. There's probably a trade here eventually. I just think PayPal's not a great company. Let's look at, nobody cares about, this one's for me, chat, Hasbro. This one's for me. This company, unfortunately, is quite the dumpster fire lately. I don't even know what to look. It's back to the COVID lows. Oh man, that's an ugly chart. That's ugly. Bad. Bad chart. ATVI is another one. Much better. All-time highs. You know, maybe something like this is a ascending triangle on an ultra high time frame or something. This is Activision, Call of Duty, Diablo, whatever else they got. Thanks, Joey. Hasbro milked their customers too much. I agree, Dave, unfortunately. Thoughts on using Ichi framework on options. Ichi perps is great. Can generally apply. Yeah, I'm not an options person, so I'm the wrong person to ask, but I don't see why you couldn't use Ichi for options, because you'd say, you know, like, let's pull up Filecoin, right? Let's pretend there was options on Filecoin. I think it helps give you levels to think about within the next 6 months or something, like on an ultra high time frame. Sure, why not? Google and Ferrari, and then we'll get out of here. Is that one not on my watch list? I think it is, right? Yeah, I just didn't look at it for whatever reason. I mean, I think your gut instinct is cup and handle, right? So it's in the handle department at the moment. I don't know. To me, it's exciting at the breakout point, but not before. Because even if you're sure this is going to play out, there are obviously times when it doesn't. So to me, I always would rather wait to trade this here than accumulate. 118 would be the maximum depth of the handle. But maybe. I think they got to get their AI situation figured out. AVGO, Broadcom. Man, look at that chart. Don't you wish your alt looked like this, chat? That's literally up and to the right. Damn. Candles. Okay, so what do we want to measure with this? So a few things stick out to me. Probably a rising wedge. Okay. Clearly a broke out down here. RSI is curling down. To me, it looks a little tired up here. So I definitely wouldn't add. And you'd have to look at candlestick patterns, but I'm guessing this stuff is probably not bullish. I don't know what that is. I'd have to look. I don't think it's bullish though. Now, if you get a candle tomorrow that's green, that's bullish, but you're still within the rising wedge here. You still have the bear div. You're still way past the breakout. So I would just be careful with Broadcom. All right, 3 more, then we're out of here. 3 more. Mitch, what's Mitch? Match. Like Bumble? Match? Doesn't look horrible, but I think it needs time. It's like PayPal and Square, like Zcash, right? It's like, it like probably wants to reverse, but it needs to tell you it wants to reverse first. The tool for the fib levels is on the left side, fib retracement. That's what you're looking for. Just the super basic fib retracement. Anchor and Anchor. I think this is crypto, right? Anchor. Yeah, love it. Looks good. Right? You know, this chart looks like all the other ones. It's got a move in the cloud. It's got a pretty large cloud on the weekly. It has some sort of diagonal that it's clearly breaking out of. It's got a complex head and shoulders situation, inverted Adam and Eve, Wyckoff, accumulation, whatever. Looks great. Looks good. How do you trade Roku when it fell out? If it fell out of the cloud, you get out of the trade. Yeah, that's so if something like this happens, clearly I have old fib levels on here. It hit the target, right, on the levels. It clearly broke down out of the cloud. So I would just hop out of it. If you didn't take profit at 95 to 100. All is not lost though. So this is a good example. I'm glad you brought this up. What you want to look for is the Kumo breakout in Q4. Okay, so I would keep an eye on this down the road. What you don't want to see coming up here is a bearish TK cross, because let's invert this. I'll show you. Right. If we invert this chart, this is a bullish Kumo breakout, almost a bullish TK recross, right? So that is a very bearish signal. And it says be careful on the long side, because you're probably looking at bearish continuation. But the cloud is thin enough into Q4 that maybe when rates come down, this does better. Looks good. Bradford, thank you for the super. Let's take a look. Okay, SoFi. I'm fading, so I gotta gotta wrap it up. Losing my voice. SoFi. Weekly doesn't look terrible. There's probably a low time frame. Inverted head and shoulders here, my guess would be some nasty thing. Some nasty little thing up here. So it's not bearish. It doesn't look amazing. But just like Roku, into Q4, that's when this stuff probably does best. Rates are probably down by Q4. Probably. Hopefully we don't have a recession. Is the yield curve uninverted? I don't know by then, but we can look. The crazy part at the moment, the yield curve is re-inverted. And the funny thing is, the yield curve had like a bottomy pattern, right? It still does. It still looks like, if this were a price chart, right, you'd expect, let's pop on the cloud. Let's do something I've never done, chat. Let's look at the weekly crypto cloud, because why not? This is an edge to edge on the yield curve, right? I know this is crypto cloud, but whatever. Point is, the yield curve does look like it's ready to uninvert eventually. Oh, that's all I got in me, guys. I'm losing my voice. Super. Oh, fine. Okay, we'll do these. Let's take a look. I mean, if it's in the cloud, you know what I'm gonna say. It clearly had the move back here, right? So it broke out. Sweet. Now, what is this up here? I don't know. Looks like a mess. So, Rhino, hopefully you're in from 10 and you're not in from 40. This could keep going, but I don't know. I feel like you're better off trading other stuff, right? Do you wait until the cloud turns green, or do you actually wait for... Well, when I say Q4, if we pull up the SoFi, what I'm expecting by Q4 is any bullish argument you'd ever want to see, which is price above the cloud, right? If price is here in Q4, then the cloud is telling you you've consolidated enough, you've clearly bottomed in some fashion, and the likelihood of bullish continuation is much higher than it is now. That's all it's telling you. So yeah, literally the best chance for this chart to do well is August and beyond. What was the other? Desu. Oh, we just looked at that one. Losing my mind. All right. Elastos. I mean, guys, these charts look the same. Why? Like, okay, let's have a real talk. End of the stream. Why are we trading this stuff? From now on, I think I'm going to say you have to tell me where you got in. If you got in from $1.30 what do you care, right? If it were me, I would hold this for 6 months and see what happens. Take the chance. Have some conviction. If you're holding this from 4, then you got a problem. But, you know, the chart looks fine. I don't know what you want me to say. It looks like a cup and handle, maybe. I would just be careful if you're in late on that one. What happens to you to consider Bitcoin run in a bull trap? You think this Bitcoin run is a bull trap? That's the funniest joke I've heard today. Good to hear, Rhino. All right, guys, that's all I have for this one. Give me a like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe. Nank, I guess. I forgot to look at that one. Sorry, let me take a look. The Nancy Pelosi. We'll end on a high note with the Nancy Pelosi. Disgusting. This should be illegal. You should not be allowed to trade actively when you're regulating these people or have insider information. This is a terrible look. Clearly, Nancy does quite well, right? She does well because she has insider information and shares that appropriately. From that point on, the trades are levered significantly. And at this point, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy because everybody's watching what Nancy's doing. So, what are you going to do? All right, that's all of this one. Like, share, subscribe. See you in a couple days. I don't think we're going to record tomorrow for the pod for LedgerCast. Take care.